Hello. Hello out there in internet world. So here I am in the evening. So normally I teach during the day, and I had to drink 2 cups of large cups of tea to keep myself awake. Oh, it's so sad. Anyway, I am here. Are you here? We'll give a little bit of time for some people to get on tonight, this evening, depending on where you are. And we are going to be painting our lovely angel with Beau Bunny, her little Beau Bunny. So Beau as in boyfriend, or Beau as in Beau. So we're going to be doing that today, and hopefully those of you who got your laser cut kits, that you also got your pattern by email. If there's been any issues where you didn't get that, please let me know. If you are having any trouble with my audio or whatever, please let me know about that too. So I am waiting to see if anybody comes in. Be sure to say hi if you're there. So, give you a little bit more time. I don't know what kind of weather you guys are having where you are. We've been having like 80s and really warm weather. I've been doing some gardening, and whew, really hard pulling all those weeds. And then this weekend, we are supposed to have snow. I'm like, what? So we'll see how that goes. I see Robin. Hi, Robin. Welcome in. So, yeah, so we may have snow this weekend. And so I'm actually having to check my messages on my other monitor, which is why I keep turning my head looking on the other side of the room. Fortunately, I put on my prescription glasses, so I can actually see that far away. And then the other thing is that Thursday, my son is flying in from Boston. Yee! So I'm really excited about that. I saw him at Christmas, but or at New Year's was the last time I saw him. But it's going to be nice to have him here for like 10 days or so. Oh, so great weather in Georgia. No bobcats. Hi, Dee. Welcome in, Dee. Yeah, I posted a picture in my private, on my regular personal page. I'll have to post it in the group that we had a bobcat visit us this morning. So it looks so cute and cuddly, but of course, yeah, not so much. But anyway, I appreciate you guys coming in, and I was going to show you some things today. Like I said, I'm just waiting a little bit for a few more people to arrive, but it looks like it's already 5 after, so I may just get going in just a moment. Yeah, Robin, I'm so excited that Branda lives in Boston, and he's just changed jobs. He's going to be working with another research bio company, working to find genetic therapies for curing diseases. So I'm really proud of him. So he'll be starting in May, and it gave him a little bit of time to come over and see his old mom and his dad. So we're pretty excited about that. So, thank you, Dee. So glad that you're here as well. I feel so silly. I got to keep straining over here to see my messages. That a lot of times I get my messages in this live platform that Facebook gives us, but then other times they just don't show up. So I have to refer to my other computer. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and start. So I'm just going to hide my little face here. I'm going to go away, but I'll still be here. So, I disappeared. So, thank you, Robin. Thank you. Appreciate that. So we're doing this piece, and if you haven't purchased the kit and you are interested in the kit, I put that information on this posting. But also, like, if you haven't purchased the kit, you can still, learn things and pick up techniques and stuff that we're using this evening. If you have any questions, just let me know. But I guess we'll dig in because I don't want us to be here till midnight. So we're going to start with this bigger piece. And this was homework. I had you guys do these in light buttermilk or regular buttermilk, whichever you wanted to do. And I forgot to do the backs of them. And you'll see that some of these pieces, it may be helpful. Hello, Janine. Welcome in. Come on in. The water's fine. So you can see on these two pieces, and even the collar, you should do the back of them. So I forgot to do that. So before you glue everything together, be sure to do the backs of those pieces. That's the hair piece, and that's the angel wings. So let me see. I want to put that handy. Now, when I initially did the dress, I rolled this, and I used Post-it notes, and I masked it in order to roll the dress in, let me see, it was not, I'm trying to remember, Joyful Pink. It was in Joyful Pink. And one thing I'm going to do tonight, for those of you who have shown up and are watching, I have this nice roller set. It has 4 of these little rollers in it, so they're mini rollers. Let me see if I can show you the one that I use. So this is going to be my giveaway. So it has these little rollers in it, and let me see. Here's the handle. So you can get these Home Depot or whatever, but this is a special one that is made by Redesign, and they use it for furniture refurbishing and stuff. But I just love these sponge rollers. They give you a little bit more, if you can see that there's a little bit of texture. I don't know if you can see that. So when you sponge or use a roller, it gives you nice texture on your pieces. So anyway, this is a giveaway tonight. So if you're watching, you don't have to purchase the kit or anything. Just if you're watching, comment roller, and I will enter your name into a drawing to see who's going to win this. So it's really cool. It's got 4 foam rollers. It's got a little acrylic tile block that you put your paint on and you roll, and it's got this handle on it. And what I usually do is I have primary colors that I use all the time, and I just put them in a Ziploc bag. This is so messy now. And like, this is my buttermilk roller, and so that way I don't have to, constantly wash them out and destroy the planet. So that's one thing you can do with them. And I think that these are pretty standard size rollers that you can get pretty much anywhere. But anyway, if you just comment roller, you stand a pretty good chance this evening of winning that. So, Dee, Robin, be sure, I see Janine's already put it in there, but please mention roller and your name will be entered into a drawing. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is take the Joyful Pink. I'm not going to do the masking because that takes a little bit of extra time. So I'm just going to jump in there with painting it on. I do like the texture you get when you sponge or you roll, but just because of time constraint and everything, we're just going to jump in with the Joyful Pink, and we're going to do her dress. So just try to keep the paint out of her face and off her hands. If you're following along, it's pretty straightforward. Base coating. I didn't have you do this base coating ahead of time just because I didn't want to give you too many different things to do, and then you're like, did I do that right? Was I supposed to do that? So this will probably take 2 coats since we're painting it on. When I roll it, it's pretty heavy, you know, with 1 coat. I generally roll 2 coats, but anyway, if we're painting it, then we definitely need a couple. And again, you can do the back. I may not do it straight away, but it's important when you're doing MDF that you do front and back if you can, because MDF can warp a little bit. See, I just got a little bit of paint on her hands. Oh well. I'm not a perfectionist, so I can go back in and clean that up or just paint over it. So, anyway. But yeah, I didn't want to torture you with too much homework. So, and again, this is Joyful Pink. And even if you're painting it, using some kind of paper mask can help you if you're worried about getting your paint where you're not supposed to, but I'm going to risk it. So, base coating is always fun, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's so boring. Although some people really enjoy it. They find it very meditative to do some base coating. I just like all the detail magic afterwards. Yeah. Hi, Anne. Welcome in. So I've got a little giveaway that I was just talking about. I am giving away this roller set right here. And you can use it in your painting, however you want to use it. And all you have to do is comment roller, roller. So, and since there's not a lot of people watching tonight, you have a very good chance of winning. Yeah, I know. It's like, Robin, we just got to get on with it, you know. It's like, please, can we just move on to the fun stuff? I'm actually going to take a moment. I'm going to move that my comments over to another window on my computer so I don't have to strain to see it. Let me just finish this one little area. Anyway, these angels are really, really cute, I think. So I hope you have some cute plan for them, whether you keep them for yourself or give them away. Okay, I'm going to just pull this over so I can see everybody. Hello, Bev. Welcome in. Okay, pull this over. All right. I am working on technology here, so let me see if I can see this. Anyway, I appreciate you guys coming in. Okay. I'm still working on technology. Let me bring this in while I wait for my piece to dry. Almost got it. All right, now I'll be able to see your comments a little bit better. Hello, Sheila. Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it. So if you want to win, if you want a chance to win this roller, it has 4 roller replacements and a handle and a little tile, acrylic tile for putting your paint. Just put roller, and I'll enter you into a chance to win. So when I teach, I always refer back to my notes. Me and my old brain, I got to look at my notes. Okay, when you get that dry, when it's ready to go and it's not too hot, if you're using a heat tool, you can go ahead and do a second coat. And if you've got enough time, you can even do the back or just wait and do that later. I am not going to stop and do the back during class because, like I said, I don't want us to be here until midnight. Okay, so just go ahead and throw on another coat. Yeah, so like I said, I'm very excited that my son is coming to visit. That has thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench into the next class I was going to do with Our Country Angel. Because my son is going to be here, I probably am going to just do that as a recorded video. If any of you would, have that are taking this class, if you, would really rather me do a live, please let me know. But right now I'm kind of leaning towards doing it as a recorded video because I want to spend some time with my son. Since I only get to see him 2 to 3 times a year. When I'm lucky, it's 3 times. So this year, I'll get to see him 3 times. Aw, thanks, Beb. Thanks. Yeah, I agree, and I know you do too. I mean, we only have a limited amount of time. So, and I'm just so happy he's coming, and, we'll just do the recorded class. But anyway, we get to see him again in October when we go up to Net. So since he's in Boston, we'll spend a bit of time with him in the big bad city. I mean, the beautiful city of Boston. I actually really love Boston. I think it's gorgeous. So, and he does too. So, anyway, all right. Just dry it, and let me see. Aw, yeah, thank you, Robin. Okay, so after this, we are going to use light buttermilk on the hands and the face. So, and of course I skipped the first bit about the pieces that we've already base coated. That was the first bit, the bunny collar, the eyelet lace, the wings, and the 2 hair pieces. So you should already have that done. So we're moving down to light buttermilk, on the hands and the face. So a bit of light buttermilk. Yeah, Robin, I think it's really pretty. It's a very interesting place because the downtown looks a particular way, and then when you get out kind of in the, they're not even suburbs, but the other areas of the city, everything's still city, and it's all built up, that everything is dependent. I don't know. It's interesting. There's such a mix of residential and shops and businesses and everything really combined. And there's a lot of mixed kind of housing everywhere you go. So, and of course they've got a subway system that you can use, but a lot of people still drive. And so there's, massive parking everywhere, massive parking issues everywhere. But downtown is so gorgeous, especially, I love the north side, where they call it, like they have the Little Italy on the north side, and also it overlooks the water, like the aquarium is down in that area of Boston. And then in another area of Boston, like there's the Fine Arts Museum, which is, oh gosh, that is some museum to visit. Just absolutely wonderful. So, and then you have the kind of historical part of Boston where you can do like the colonial sort of tour of all the historical sites, and a lot of them are within walking distance. It's really cool. So I enjoy going. And since Brandon lives there, he kind of knows which subway to take, what subway goes to what part of Boston. So, and he actually works in Cambridge, but he lives in South Boston in an area called Dorchester. So, yeah, that Fine Arts Museum, it really is amazing. Truly is amazing. So, okay. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so I didn't write this in. So the hands, the face, and the socks. So the socks are also light buttermilk. We're going to be doing color washes on top. So this is our base coat, and then we're going to be layering colors and building colors. Hey Loretta, welcome in. I was just telling everybody I have a giveaway for some roller. It's a roller system that I use to paint. I really like it. So if you're interested in a chance to win this, I will have a drawing. All you have to do is comment roller, and I will enter your name and see who the lucky winner is. So those are really good. Like if you need to do a painting surface, if you have a wood surface and you're doing a base coat on it, I really like using those rollers. So I know you have to have bigger pieces to use the roller, but I'll line up even some of my smaller pieces, even if they're small, and I'll go ahead and use the roller or sponges. So this is really, really straightforward to paint. There's not going to be a lot. I mean, it's really easy. It's easy going. But if you do have questions, let me know. And I appreciate some of you who haven't actually purchased the kit and you've come in to say hi. That's really sweet of you. Thank you so much. It's lovely to chat with you. I enjoy getting a chance to chat. So again, you'll want to do the back, and I just did the entire back in the Joyful Pink. If you feel like you wanted to do it, color coordinated according to what you're doing on the front, that's fine. But I'm not going to take a moment and do it now. But already I can feel that I'm getting a bit of warping. That's just the nature of MDF. So you definitely want to paint it at some point so that some of that warping goes away. And we're moving kind of slow, so I mean, if you want it to take time to do it, go ahead. I just don't want to hold us up too much tonight. So, and I am getting a little bit of paint in here, but we're going to come in and shade, and hopefully, if you have any boo-boos, you'll cover it up, or just if you have any boo-boos, just go in there with the corresponding paint and fix it, like with the joyful pink in there. But it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I can't believe that we may get snow this weekend. My goodness. So 2 days ago, I was out in the garden, and it was like 88 degrees, which is the warmest we've had so far. And in this part of Colorado, we're not in the mountains. We're kind of like in the valley of, we're in the foothills of the mountains where we live in Loveland. And it gets really, really dry. So some people are really, oh, okay. Thank you, Robin. Yeah, I hope you enjoy playing with that. I'm working on editing the 2 videos of the dragonfly. I have 2 tutorials for the dragonfly art, and my plan is to combine those, and I'll be putting it up on YouTube because, Facebook no longer is a repository of videos that they allow them to stay up for 30 days, and then we have to download them and find someplace else to put them. So all my videos will be on my YouTube channel eventually. So all the videos that you could conveniently watch on Facebook that I'm having to move, but all of us are having to do it. Okay, so pretty straightforward. You got your light buttermilk down, or your buttermilk. So we are going to move to using, okay, so I did this in the light buttermilk. Now, I have said here you could do warm beige instead, but I'm going to go ahead and, since I have the light buttermilk down, I'm going to take my warm beige, and one thing I do a lot are color washes. So, and the color washes are to layer up color so that you get some interesting depth. And I thought that I had pulled my warm beige. Where is it? I pulled all my colors ahead of time, and now I'm looking and I'm not seeing my warm beige. I see my sugared peach, which we'll need. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm looking for my warm beige. Okay, I can't find my warm beige. That's weird. I'm just going to use natural buff. The warm beige is a little bit darker. I still don't know. I went through and pulled all of it. Oh, here it is, here it is, here it is. Okay. So you could start with warm beige and not do the light buttermilk. But I'm going to go ahead and do this as a color wash on top of this and just layer up some colors. So when I use color washes, you want to use a juicy brush. So this is a Lynn Andrews floater that she uses, that she's designed specifically for doing color washes. And that's really where I learned to do the color washes, was through watching her programs. But anything that kind of holds a bit more water, a little bit more moisture, that's what I call my juicy brush. You know, there's quills, there's mops, even a lot of your flats will hold enough, extra moisture, like this one here. So anything like that will work. And so what you do is you take your color and you add in a little bit of water. You can use like a Jo Sonja fast drying glaze medium if you want. Make sure that your brush is wet. So if you bring over a dry brush, it will just soak up all of your color wash, and you won't get enough moisture. And then what you will do is, after you put on the color wash, you will use something like a stiff bristle Jack Richardson dome brush, or you'll use a paper towel, and that will help to blend and to keep too much moisture from pooling and creating like water puddles, water marks. So that one's actually probably a little bit too thin, so I'm going to go back Okay. And since this is right up against the Joyful Pink, we want to make sure that we don't just spread this all over the place. So there's two sides to the paper towel. There's the one that has a small pattern, and then this is a larger pattern. I'm going to use the bit that's sort of a more delicate small pattern, and I'm going to use that to dab and to blot. Okay, so that pulled up quite a bit because I kind of went a little bit too light. Yeah, that, Robin, that's just like a specimen bottle. And it's really handy, though, for this. I mean, people use all kinds of different things when they're doing these color washes, but having the water handy in one of those bottles works perfectly. So anyway, sometimes they just bring it over from their water pot, tank, whatever they're using to to wash their brushes while they go. But I just think that the specimen bottles are really handy. Okay, that was very, very, very light, too light. So I'm going to have to go back over it. So when you use a paper towel to dab, it does bring up a little bit more. I'm going to change this right quick. It brings up a little bit more of your paint. So sometimes using the stiff bristled brush is better. And the other thing about the paper towel, which is kind of cool, is it also can leave a little bit of a texture behind, which leaves like an interesting little pattern. So I'm going to go back over this, and I'm going to do the face as well. So I just want this to be a little heavier. Sometimes when you mix it up, it can be too wet. So I'll sometimes lightly tap that over. Yeah, that's a little bit better. My first round was just a little bit too thin. So I'll show you the difference. If you use a stiff bristled brush like this, you're just kind of blending it. So it's a little bit stronger color that's left behind. And if you're not really into color washes, you can just stick to base coating. But I kind of like the look you get. It just is a little bit more sophisticated. Hi, Tony. Welcome in. So, and like I said, that kind of blends the color, but it also keeps like the water from pooling and leaving like these real specific watermarks. So Tony, I have a giveaway tonight, and all you have to do if you want to be entered in a chance to win it is comment roller, and I'll show you what it is in just 1 second here. All right, so do the face. Okay. So Tony, this is a roller that I use in doing some of my base coating. It kind of gives you an interesting effect. So if you're interested in that, comment roller. Okay, and then before you go on, be sure to dry. So I think my directions are a little bit confusing because I ended up doing one of the samples I did. I base coated with warm beige, and I needed to make it lighter, so then I came back with sugared peach. Well, this time I base coated with light buttermilk, which is light to begin with, and then when you put the warm beige on it, you get almost a perfect kind of color. And whatever tones you usually use for your skin tones, just do that. You know, if you don't want to do this, do what you normally do. So this is looking pretty good. The hands have one more coat than the face, so I'm going to just go ahead. So if you want it to come back with the sugared peach color wash, you can, but I think originally it was a base coat of warm beige and then a color wash of sugared peach. And this is a base coat of light buttermilk and a color wash of warm beige. And I think I like the color. I don't want to do anything more with it. Okay. All right. So, now we can go ahead and do a little bit of shading. I'm using cocoa. You can use whatever color you normally use for shading light tones. Like I know honey, which one is it? Honey beige, I think is one that works well too. So if you don't have cocoa or if you want to use a different color, you know, use whatever you prefer. Okay, let me find my cocoa. I keep feeling like I pulled all my paints out and now I can't find them. Oh dear, dear, dear. Lost my cocoa. So honey brown was the other color besides cocoa. But, I don't know what I did with my cocoa. I'm going to just go with the honey brown. Yeah, that's a mystery. I pulled all my paints out a couple hours ago. It's like they're disappearing right before my eyes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of shading on the skin tones. So you're going to keep it, let me get my original. So I have it underneath the dress area and then up against the collar. And you're not really going to see the shading, you know, underneath the hairpiece. So just kind of concentrate on the areas down here. So, so basically where the hands and the dress meet. So cocoa kind of, in some ways, is a little bit less in your face. This is a little bit darker than I want it to go. I'm going to have to see what happened to my cocoa. Okay. This is nice, but it's a little bit darker than what I was hoping. But it still works really nice. Yeah, I know, Dee. We were talking about that earlier. It's like, Monday. And it's very close anyway to the cocoa. So I'm going to just stick with the honey beige, I guess. Honey brown, not honey beige. Honey brown. Okay. So, like if I do that and I'm like, that's just a little bit too dark for me, I can come back and use a color wash on top of that. Like, you know, I'll just show you if you do sugared peach on top. And this is what I do. This is how I create. I just do various layers upon layers of colors, and I just like building colors. So, so like if you wanted to set back the a little bit of the shading, you just add in a little bit of like sugared peach, or come back with the like buttermilk or some more warm beige. And when I teach, I often give a lot of choices to people so that they can use whatever paints they have and create the look that they want. So I change things up as I go, which I know must drive some people crazy. But see, it kind of helped to set that back a little bit. The neck is shaded perfectly, so I'm not going to do anything with that. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of Coral Cloud, and I'm going to go ahead and put cheeks on, cheeks on the face. So you can kind of get a sense, if you put the headpiece you know, where are you going to need your color to be. So anyway, you can use coral cloud, you can use cactus flower, you can use coral shell, any of those colors. I think cactus flower is really dark, darker compared to this. Yeah, right, Robin. It's wonderful to use these color washes. It just sets back some of this shading. So coral cloud is the one I used, but the coral shell is also really pretty. So I'll just use the coral cloud and a dry brush. Okay. So I use a bunch of different kinds of dry brushes. So there's Jo Sonja's, there's Mezzaluna's, but I do, these Dynasty 200s are a little softer. So it's just kind of an interesting dry brush, but it is a little softer, so you can end up putting down a little bit too much paint. So you just have to be careful that you get everything nice and dried off before you come over here and start doing your magic. So if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that the nose is gonna, or the eyes are gonna be right about here, so I'm gonna go ahead and dry brush right in this area for the cheeks. And you can build it after it dries. Don't try to lay down too much color, because you can kind of create almost like a hole in your color. So you can, if you want, put some color on the hands. So I'm going to come back, if this is dry, and just kind of build out the cheeks a little bit more. And you also can do dabbing if you don't want to do swirls until you get the right amount of cheek color. And if you want to like bring all the colors in together and blend them, you can do a color wash on top of that. If you like the tone that you've achieved, then stop. But a lot of times, like if your cheeks are too in your face and you feel like they're not blended enough, come back with a color wash and set them back a little bit. Okay. All right, so we are going to move to the socks. Let me make sure I got everything on the hands. If you wanted to come back, if you wanted to lighten up anything here, you can. You can come back with a little bit of warm white, a float, or a little bit of dry brushing. So if you feel like you want your hands at the ends to be just a little bit lighter, you can do that. So now we are going to the socks. So grab the Royal Fuchsia. Hopefully I have it. Yay! I don't know where my paints are running off to. Okay, so Royal Fuchsia, and we are going to do a color wash of the Royal Fuchsia. Instead of doing, a base coat, a color wash will give you a little bit more primitive look, because it's not solid. Hi, Jerry. Thanks for popping in. Hope you're having a lovely evening. So I was just telling everybody I do have a giveaway today. So it's a paint roller that you can use in your projects. If you are interested in possibly winning that, put roller, and I will enter your name in a drawing for this. It's a really handy piece. So, okay. All right, so after you mix your color wash, and we're doing the same kind of technique where you're using water, you're getting it kind of milky, kind of inky. It's pretty wet right now, so before you come over there to the socks, tap it off a little bit first. And so this is what it looks like, and you've got pictures of it too. So the Royal Fuchsia here, color wash, it's the stripe that starts right under the dress. Okay. So we're going to put that on there. It's going to be 2 coats, so this is the first coat. All right. And as you go, you want to dab it with the paper towel or a stiff bristled brush, so whichever works. And again, this is your first layer, so it will be lighter. And then you're going to skip, so we're going to do alternate stripes. I really appreciate you guys all coming in, keeping me company tonight. Okay, and if you get it out of the line, you can come back with the light buttermilk and fix it if necessary. A little bit of dab. So this is very light. I'm going to darken it up the next time. Go a little bit heavier after we get this first layer down. And like I said, any kind of juicy brush will work on this. A flat brush works just as well if you don't have something like this floater. So, and you can use the brush, but the thing is, like, you don't want, once you get paint on it, to spread it around. So that's why I'm kind of strategically using a paper towel instead. So hopefully all of you are okay with the color washes. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, let me know. But we're just building layers of color. So you can see if you use the bristled brush, I'm not next to, I'm not going to spread it as easily because I'm at the base here, but it gives you a slightly different look. And make sure you dry. See, I can see right here, there was a water spot that was wanting to start. And you do get a little bit of blotchiness when you do this, but again, this is a primitive looking angel. She's not supposed to be like solid, and you know, the paint is supposed to be a little bit more rustic. Okay, so I've mixed in a little bit more. You can't actually see it, but I've mixed in a little bit more paint. So this is not going to be quite so watery this time. So just come back with your second coat and dab it with your paper towel. So you can see sometimes with a paper towel you get these an interesting pattern, which I like, which I want. And we will shade too, so if your lines aren't perfect, the shading will help to mask some of that. And lightly and lift. So I use a lot of paper towels. So it seems like Sam Club gets a lot of my paper towel business. Okay. So just keep adding your color wash to your stripes. And then finally the last two. Okay. All right. So they should look something like that. Yeah, it does. It creates a really interesting sort of design when you use a paper towel. And it depends on which paper towel you're using. Your print may be different than my print. So, but it just creates an interesting look. So, okay. So that was Royal Fuchsia. And we did a second coat, and now we are going to first, I like layering the shading. It's kind of a thing I really like doing. So first of all, we're going to take the Joyful Pink. So you can see the Joyful Pink is only slightly darker than the Royal Fuchsia. I mean, only slightly. But because we did a color wash, it's going to look a little bit darker because we are shading onto a color wash. And the Joyful Pink is, you know, full strength now. So again, this is Joyful Pink, and we're going to lay down shading at the top of each one, and we might do it lightly at the bottom as well. So so first of all, come in and do all of the top shading. So right underneath the dress, so the top section of each stripe. So only the ones that you did color washed, not the light stripes. We'll do those in just a moment. So this videotape, I call them videotapes. What am I saying? This video will be available in our Facebook group for 30 days, and then I will move it onto YouTube. Okay, so now I'm just going to I'm going to do a light shade on the bottom as well. Just light, nothing too strong, nothing too fancy. It just helps to straighten out some of my lines as well, where I didn't paint it perfectly with the color wash. I'm able to bump my angled shader right up against the line to make it straight. And if you feel like you want to reinforce any of them, you can go back over and reinforce. Okay, let me move this out. Well, I guess it's okay. Okay, so now we're going to go a little darker, and we're going to take Berry Cobbler. So that's a little bit darker. First, make sure you dry it. And we're only going to use the Berry Cobbler on the top shade. So, not the bottom underneath, the top shade only. So again, it's not that drastically different, but it's just kind of fun to layer up some of these shades. And if that drives you crazy, you don't have to. You can just stop and only shade it once, but I just kind of like layering up shades. You just get an interesting dynamic that goes on when you do that. Okay. All right. And we're going to come back with some honey brown. It should be cocoa, but we're going to come back with honey brown in just a little bit. But right now, we are moving to the next page on the pattern. So, okay. So, these were light buttermilk, and we want them to be a little bit brighter. So grab your warm white. So your warm white, and a dry brush, a clean dry brush. Since we're using white, get a clean dry brush. So here's another dry brush I use once in a while. It's a Lynn Andrews Stippler. So I use a whole bunch of different kinds of dry brushes. I get different results with them. There's no rhyme or reason to why I've just switched to this one. It's just because it was handy. So once it's mostly dry, you take your warm white and do some dry brushing. And like I was saying earlier, if you wanted a little bit more white on the edges of the hands, sometimes if I have, my paint in my brush already, I just come back to some of my areas and I'll add in things. Like if I'm shading and I see an area needs it, I'll just pop up to that area and add it in. So this is sort of like a little highlight float. A little bit more dry brushing onto the stripes. Try to avoid getting it onto the pink area. So that just brightens it up a little bit. If you want it a little bit lighter, come back with some more. You can stipple, you can brush it until you get the look you like. Okay, and now we're going to dry brush that. Shade that. And we're going to take the honey brown into the pink area as well. So you can see that there's honey brown in the white or warm white area, and then it's just a smidge on the pink as well. So you can see. So again, that is either cocoa or honey brown. Since I can't find my cocoa right now, I'm using honey brown. Okay. So I really want it to be very light on the pink areas because I already have some shading. I don't want to completely wipe out that shading. But for interest, I just want a little bit. Kind of helps to tie in the colors on the stripes. If you have it on both the white and the pink, it just kind of helps to bring everything together. Make sure I stay on camera here. I've got this a little bit magnified in so that you can see a little bit more of the detail, but then I also risk more of a chance of just wandering off. So, and since we're not doing a Zoom, it's like you can't holler at me and say, "Hey, get back! We can't see you." So sometimes it's nice to do back-to-back floats because it just kind of smooths things up. So just shade it until you are happy with the way that it looks. So I do a lot of these extra details on these laser cut pieces. I do more detail probably than most people are doing on them because it just, I don't know, it just makes them pop. It makes them, when they're layered, it just makes, when the colors are all layered together, it just makes it very dimensional and very rich looking. So I know a lot of people just do base coats and a little bit of shading and dry brushing, but I kind of go go the extra mile on this. Okay. So now we're going to shade the dress with deep burgundy. And you can see in the picture how I did this. And we're going to use the collar to come in and shade underneath the collar as well. So we're going to grab deep burgundy. So that's this color right here. And we are going to shade. So you want to shade where the points come together, and you don't shade here. Like I said, we're going to grab our collar. Let me see if I can find my collar piece here. So we're going to come back and shade underneath the collar. So we'll put that in place to shade in just a moment, but set it aside for a second. Okay. Oops. I see I did not shake that well enough. And again, this is deep burgundy. I'm having to shake it a little bit better. Deep burgundy. Okay. So bring it down where the sleeves meet the body of the dress. And probably this is going to take 2 turns to shade it twice. And unfortunately, I'm getting tons of glare here, so I'm having a hard time seeing. So and you can bring it all the way down to the bottom of the dress. Thanks, Sheila. Oh yeah, Robin, you're right with me on that. Yeah, the details really make to me the difference on these pieces, even on these things that people would consider simple kits, laser cut kits. I still think that they just can make all the difference and make something that, you know, is pretty, I don't know, it just really makes it cool. Adding in that extra detail. So I definitely am feeling like I need to widen out this shade on the second turn. So I'm going to go over that again. And I'm going to bring it out here onto the sleeve right there. Might just bring it up just a small amount there. Yeah, I agree, Robin, it does. It really does. Makes it come to life. And you know, if you do a lot of extra detail like that, when people see your pieces, they're like, wow, I mean, you know, they know something special is going on, but they can't really put their finger on it. What, you know, what? How did you get that? It, you know, it really lifts the colors and it makes it vibrant. Oh, adding love. I like that. Aw, let's add some love to our pieces. I like that. Okay. All right, so go around another time and try to broaden out the shade. Widen your shade a little bit. Walk it out a little bit. I can't believe I keep doing that. I keep dipping her head into the honey brown. So when we finish this piece, a lot of people like to come back with a black marker and do all the sides so that you don't see any paint here. So that's one thing that you might want to consider doing. I don't know if you guys own these markers that you use on these projects. There's a number of some of them that you can use I get from Amazon. So I'll show you what I have. So this is one brand that you can use. So it is an acrylic painter from Teawife, and it does not bleed. And then this is another one, Mr. Pen permanent marker. It's got a chisel. So those two do not bleed. So a lot of people like to do the sides, and you would do the sides before you glue the pieces together. Okay, so that's probably enough shading. So now what we need to do is bring the collar in, and so you would put it into position, and then so that you don't get a funky line, inevitably that happens if you're just doing it right at the edge, because your brush isn't actually getting into the place it needs to be. You're kind of below it. So what I do is I raise this just a smidge, and then I come back and I lay down a shade line, just like that. So it's just slightly higher, a smidge, a hairline. But it's put down that color, that first shade. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to reinforce that shade. And it doesn't have to be perfect because a lot of it is going to be hidden underneath this piece. So, I'm going to come back. And I'm going to just kind of be somewhat messy and go over that line, because I don't want a hard line there. I want it to be soft, so that when you put the collar into place, you get a soft line, not a hard line. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it again. So I can see there's kind of a hard line going on there. I don't really want it to be a hard line. I just want a soft mottled shade underneath the collar. I'm going to check it now. So if you line it up to where it's going to go, and you can look. So I can see that there's a little hole in there. I don't really like that look very well. So I want that hole to be a little bit more blended. So right here. Okay. And that is that on the shading for that. So now we are going to, so if you wanted, you can come back with Berry Cobbler for a slightly different look. Berry Cobbler is a little lighter, so I'll just show you a little bit. You can kind of do it here, there, and everywhere. So we used Berry Cobbler a little while ago. So like you could come back with just sort of a rough, light toning of Berry Cobbler over the deep burgundy. And it just kind of changes things up a little bit. But you certainly don't need to do that. I just like to add in extra shading, different color tones. Hi, Linda. Thanks for coming in. Coming in from Texas, my home state. I was telling Dee the other day that I always try to get back to Texas to see family at this time of year, but this year we're going to do something different. I normally like going down to Port Aransas. I just love Port Aransas. And hanging out at the coast. So, a lot of people who aren't familiar with Texas, they're like, Porta what? Port what? So Port Aransas is close to Corpus Christi. Oh, thank you, Robin. Thank you for helping me out. Linda, I'm from outside of San Antonio, a little town called Casterville. It's kind of a German heritage. So it's called Alsatian, German French, German Alsatian village. So, yeah. We were in Texas for quite a while, but then I went and I married an oil man, and he was working with ExxonMobil, and we ended up moving all over the world. So somehow I ended up in Colorado. I don't know. So Linda, this is, if you comment roller, this is the giveaway tonight for the lucky winner. So it's a really cool rolling set. Paint rollers. Okay, so did the shading, and the other thing I did is I came back with cocoa or honey brown. I'm not going to do that right now, but that changes up the shading again. I'm not going to just completely drive you crackers with the shading, but you can do that. So we're going to do some dry brushing on this as well, but let me see if we do the dry brushing now or later. I think we do it a little bit later. I'm just checking. Yeah, dry brushing, royal fuchsia. So back to the royal fuchsia, which is the lighter. So you can see we have everything kind of in sequence in how they change in tone, and the royal fuchsia is the lighter of the pink. Yeah, I know. I am spoiled by the fact that we don't have humidity, and we also have seasons. Even if I am not really wanting it to snow this weekend, it's like, really? Does it have to snow this weekend? Oh. Okay, so we're going to dry brush on the royal fuchsia, just to build in some lightness in areas where you would think, you know, you would have it be a little bit lighter, where, you know, some of the middle area here and on the sleeve. So just build the color, however, until you like the way it looks. I got that a little heavy, but I am getting that a little bit heavier than I want. I'm not sure I like that. Let me get a different dry brush. So this dry brush sometimes, this Dynasty 200, can sometimes stay too wet. Yeah, back in the day, I lived in Houston for a long time. I used to work for the Houston Chronicle newspaper because my first career was as a publication editor. So, and here I am doing art. I did graphic design as well as being a writer and an editor. So, okay, so I got this way too light on the sleeves. So I'm just going to come back with a little bit of the joyful pink and kind of go back over that area. So just build up your color until you're happy with it. bit lighter color in here again. And if you really want it to be lighter, you can take like a sugared peach as well. If you want it to be a lot lighter than this. But you're just trying to create a little bit of interest. Okay. So still don't perfectly love that, but okay. So we are going to grab a couple of the pieces that we base coated. So the collar and the eyelet lace piece, we're going to go ahead and add in a little shading with the cocoa or the honey brown. So, yeah, you have to be able to fix your boo-boos for sure. So I'm never afraid if I make a mistake on how to fix it. Color washes are extremely good for fixing boo-boos like that too. So I could have come back with color wash to set that back. I could have come back with the color wash of the Joyful Pink and just kind of set that back again. But so there's so many ways to fix things when they're not coming out exactly the way you want. Okay, so honey brown or cocoa. Okay, there's the honey brown. I'm going to have to get another piece of palette paper. And you can see how we're going to shade this. So we're going at the bottom of the collar, the bottom and sides of the eyelet lace. Isn't that what you call this, eyelet lace? I was trying to remember the other day when I was writing this up. It's like, what is this called again? I keep thinking in my history, my past, it was called eyelet lace, but I couldn't remember for sure. Okay, I want that to be stronger. That's fine. You don't need a lot. You're just touching on a little bit of shading. Oh, okay. Thanks, Linda. Yeah, I was, it kind of reminds me of some of the stuff I used to wear when I was a kid. Because I'm that old. Okay, so that's all you need to do. So there you go. Just like that. Whenever I do these classes, I need some place to put my art so I can pull her over. Okay. So now we're moving to the wings, and we're going to do a similar thing that we just did. So the wings, you don't see all of them, but we're going to use the shading on the edges and on the sides, not on the top. So we'll use the honey brown or cocoa, whichever you have or wanting to use. Okay, and go ahead and shade the lines. I definitely need more palette paper. That's coming a little bit heavy. Let me get a paper towel. Try that again. Yeah, it's I had started in publications, got my 2 degrees in journalism and communications. I loved working on magazines and stuff. But because I had done some stuff in graphic design as well, that came in really handy for kind of switching to art. And when we moved overseas, I continue to do publications in various places that we live, but I started teaching different kinds of crafts and got really involved in paper crafting, so, and mixed media. And yeah, it was pretty cool. Got to meet a lot of really wonderful women living around the world, doing classes with them, because you know our we were called trailing spouses, so we would be at home while our husbands worked and looking after the kids and needing to socialize. Okay, Robin, thank you so much. Love you too, sweetheart. Bye. So anyway, that's what I used to do to keep myself out of trouble. I used to teach art classes overseas. So, okay. So now we want to go underneath the line. It doesn't really matter if you go underneath the lines or on top, but okay, so just like that, just an easygoing shade. A little will do ya. And some of this is going to be, oh, really, Dee? Oh, excellent. Yeah. I bet you can relate. Yeah. My husband is retired now. So he was a geophysicist, geologist, geochemist. So we got to do some fun stuff. All right. So now we're going to come back and do some dry brushing with warm white. Actually, I'm going to do a color wash with warm white first, because, you know, this is pretty strong. And the other thing I want to do, I just want to see. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to take some warm white after I get another piece of palette paper. And yeah, and that's one of the reasons we ended up in Houston for so long. I mean, I moved there because after university I started to work with the Houston Chronicle, but then I met my husband, and he was attached to the Exxon Mobil that's in Houston, and then they would send us overseas, and then we'd go back to Houston. So we did that a lot. It seems like, well, not too much. We lived in 3 different countries. So okay, so we're going to do a color wash of warm white, and then also we may come back and do dry brushing as well. So I'm just going to pull out some of that, a little bit of water, until you get your milky or inky consistency. And get your paper towel ready, okay? And we're going to just slap that on really fast. And you know, if you wanted your eyelet lace to be lighter too, or your collar, this is what you would do to it. I didn't do that on mine, but you could. Okay, so I'm going to lay that over. Okay, and I'm going to dry. Okay, so if you like that tone, if that's the tone you like on the shading, don't add another color wash. If you want it to be lighter, add a second coat of the color wash. Now, I like the shading the way it is, but I want my wings to be whiter. So I am going to take my dry brush that I already used, that I unfortunately got wet. I shouldn't have done that. And I'm going to go ahead and dry brush some more warm white into some of these areas, because I just want the angel wings to be a bit brighter. Now, you don't need to work in this area because it's going to be covered up. So she goes right about there. So you're just concentrating on the outer edges if you want it to add more warm white. So you just add enough until you're happy with the way it looks. If you can stipple it, that makes it a little bit stronger. You can brush it. So whichever effect you want. Until you build up enough color and you're happy with that. Okay. Okay, so I use a number of different kinds of dry brushes. There is the Jo Sonja. This is Lynn Andrews Stippler. Whoops, there we go. Lynn Andrews Stippler. And then this one, it's a little bit softer. It sometimes creates a little bit wetter look. And it's the Dynasty 200 the Dynasty 200. So I also sometimes use Mezzaluna. I find Mezzaluna a little hard, and also they wear down really fast. I don't know. I just find them very bristly, very tough. But those are the 4 different dry brushes that I use. I love dry brushes a lot. So that's what I buy. I buy a bunch of them, a bunch of kinds, and they do different things, you know. The softest one, like I said, is going to be the Dynasty 200. That's the softest. So, all right. And sometimes I want a round, and it's hard to find a good round dry brush, and the stipplers are perfect. Okay, so that's that. I say okay a lot. I'm sorry. So now I'm pretty sure that was it. So I did not do any shimmer or anything on this because it's primitive, it's rustic. So, but if you want your wings to glisten or whatever, you can use something like, this is the blue enchanted, you'd want the white enchanted, but something like the white enchanted, you can make it shimmer. That's up to you. I'm keeping everything kind of flat. So the next thing we need, we're going to move to the bunny body. And some of the pieces we haven't base coated yet. They're, oops, oh no, I just dropped her hair. Oh dear. So some of the pieces will be base coating and stuff too. Oh, sorry. I dropped her hair underneath the table. Hold on. Okay. Emergency averted. So since this has already been done in light buttermilk, we're going to come back with a color wash of cocoa or honey brown. Since my cocoa is missing in action, I'm going to do a color wash in honey brown. Oh, the wash. So that also is Lynn Andrews. It's a floater. And it's designed to hold a lot of moisture. But you see how it keeps the tip. So you can actually do lines and things with this as well. But you can, you know, that's specifically a Lynn Andrews brush, but, you know, you can use a quill. You can use a mop. Whatever you want. Something that's going to, I call them juicy brushes, something that's going to hold enough moisture. So we're going back to a color wash. And again, honey brown or cocoa. And just go ahead and throw that on. And grab a paper towel or a stiff bristled brush and lay down, pull up. Now you've got a nice little pattern on your bunny. So if you want it to be a slightly darker bunny, you can do a second coat. If you don't want it to be darker than that, I'm wasting a lot of paint here too, which I didn't mean to do. You can go straight to doing sugared peach after this, or you can leave him as he is, whatever color tone you want, but I'm going to take the sugared peach, and I'm going to, why am I putting so much paint on my palette? I've got enough paint here for all of you guys. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. That's why. Okay. So doing another color wash. This is the sugared peach. And I'm just going over the top. And I'm getting my paper towel. And I'm pressing down. And voila! He has now got this nice, interesting, mottled kind of look to him. So he's not one color, he's several colors. Okay, so, and now we're going to come back with the honey brown or the cocoa, and we're gonna shade his little body. So on him, on this one, you can see I did a little shading right there, and I did shading more on the right side of the ears and down the body. So okay. So I'm just going to take this and shade it here and there. And again, if the shade comes out a little darker than you want, use that sugared peach color wash and set back the shading a little bit. And I may end up doing that because I want him to be a little bit lighter. I don't want him to be quite so heavily shaded. So, oops, I forgot an ear. All right. So this will be recorded, so I understand if any of you need to run, this will be available in our group for 30 days, and then it will be on my YouTube channel after that. Okay. So that is a little bit heavy. I think the cocoa must be just slightly lighter because the honey brown is coming just a little bit dark for me on this. So I want some sugared peach. So I've already got my little pile of color wash here. Make sure that's not too hot. Okay. All right. And if you like it the way it was, don't do the color wash. I just thought that this shading was a little heavy, so, or a little dark. Okay. So we used Coral Cloud earlier to do the cheeks on the angel. So we're going to do the cheeks and the ears on the bunny with Coral Cloud. That is that. So grab your whatever dry brush you're using. I'm going to try this one again, although it is definitely soft and kind of wet. Ooh, yeah, that's way, 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 way too wet. Nope. Nope, that one is not working. I'm going to take that off right quick. That dry brush is just too soft. Too soft. Let's see if I can take off some of that. Okay. I'm going to use a more bristly one. Okay, let me try this again. So you need it in the ears. I need to fix this area here, so I'm just going back with a little bit more sugared peach in there. Yeah, that, I really like these Dynasty 200s for certain kinds of dry brushing, but sometimes they do tend to stay too wet. So I've moved back to the stippler. And if you do get the color too strong, you can just use a color wash to set it back again. Okay. So build up the color until you're happy with it. So you will be putting eyes on your guy as well. You can use a marker, a permanent marker, or you can use a stylus to put your eyes on. Okay. So now we need to pull out the, you have this here, your frame. It's got the muzzle in it. And you can either pop it out or you can leave it in the frame to paint with. Let me just move some of my stuff over. So if you leave it in the frame, it's easier. You don't have to chase the piece all over your table. So let me move that over. Put him out of the way for a second. Move these pieces. Sorry. It's kind of a small area that I have that I'm working in. Okay, so I'm going to use this frame, but it's a little bit big for my art table, so I'm going to just take that bit out. Set that aside. Okay, now I've got the muzzle. And the muzzle is based in honey brown or cocoa. And you can just get like a little sponge, or you can use a brush. So I'm going to just use a little sponge. I still have some honey brown right here. So I'm just going to sponge that. Yeah, these little pieces take a bit of time. but they gotta be done. And this is the nose. And the nose is going to be lamp black, I think. Let me make sure. Sorry. Just get to my last page. Make sure that it's just lamp black. Yeah. So it can be either espresso or lamp black, whichever color you want to do the little nose. So I also have these little sponge applicators I use a lot when I'm doing laser cut pieces. And they work really well when you have things that are scored, because I've told people this before when I've done classes, because you're doing it kind of horizontal. This doesn't have any score lines on it. But when you use a brush, sometimes the brush pushes paint into the score lines. And if you want to maintain the score lines, like with a sponge, it will help to maintain it a little bit. This one is a very light score line. But a brush sometimes can push the acrylic in and you lose your score lines. So these little sponge sticks are really handy. So you need a second coat of cocoa or honey brown on your muzzle. So I'm going to go ahead and do a color wash of sugared peach to lighten that muzzle up. Just have to make sure it's dry. So let me do a little bit more black on the nose. And this is going to be, you can use whatever color orange you want, but I wanted it to be kind of vibrant, so I did it in Tiger Lily. So while things are drying, if you want to brush on Tiger Lily, you can sponge it as well, but you just want to keep it out of the carrot tops if you sponge it. So when doing laser cut kits, I use a lot of sponges to apply. You just get a slightly different look, and like I said, it does help if you have things that are engraved and scored. This doesn't, but sometimes I just like the look that you get from sponging. And we'll come back and shade there anyway. It's going to be very difficult to sponge the carrot top, and that is, the carrot top is in, I'm pretty sure it's New Leaf. Yeah, New Leaf. Or any green. It really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint that bit in New Leaf. So you do get a little bit more control when you're doing the lines with a brush, of course. But I do like the texture of sponging. Okay, so now I'm going back and forth to stuff while things dry. So the bunny muzzle, I'm going to come back with a little bit of a color wash of the sugared peach, because I want this to have a slightly different look. It's just too brown. I just want it to have a slightly different appearance. So I'm doing a sugared peach to bring the tone down a little bit lighter. There's so many little pieces to this angel. It's like, ah. So, let's see. It's kind of getting to a similar color there. So then, if you like the color that it is, you can stop and then grab a little bit of Coral Cloud, and we want to add a little bit of color to his muzzle by using the Coral Cloud. And this time I just kind of stippled it. Just stipple, 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 stipple. There you go. A little bit of stippling. Okay, just like that. Back to the muzzle, you can use espresso to shade the bottom of the muzzle, or asphaltum, not asphaltum, asphaltum. And to also put in like a little line. So I've got this upside down actually. So this is the little bunny smile. So this is the top. So this is the bottom that we're shading, plus the muzzle line. So again, asphaltum, espresso, one of those. Let me shade that with my brush. My water is going to have to be changed out, I think. Okay. So a shade just down here where the smiley happens. And then along the line there. So if that's too dark, you can lighten it up again. Let's just see. So this is a little darker than the one I did there, but that's fine. And then the little black nose piece, if you've got it dark enough, you can come back with a little bit of warm white and do a float. So just a really light float. I feel like this is going to have too much white. Just a little light float like that. And again, remember, you want to, if you're going to do the sides of your pieces with the black marker, you know, the sides, all of these pieces, if you want to do, if you want to do the sides first, it's usually better to do it before you glue it together. I didn't do it on this piece, but it's easier if you do the black marker before you glue it together. So this piece will be glued onto the muzzle. So right now, you know, be careful if you pop it out that you don't lose it, but those pieces will be glued together, because I'm not going to really walk you through all of the gluing together of stuff. Otherwise, we will be here forever. In fact, we're already up to almost 2 hours in. So, yeah. How can this angel take so long? Okay. So, I feel like I need a little bit more tiger lily. And again, if you guys have other things to do and need to go and do those things, I completely understand. I'll just continue to work. I probably will take a break in 10 minutes so I can change out my water and stuff. But I do understand if you do have other things you need to do, because this gets a little bit late for people, especially if you're on the East Coast. Okay. I just want to, I'm doing the sponging and it's just not getting all the way to the top. All right, so that's 2 coats of the orange, and I need to come back with the green. Okay. All right, Linda. Like I said, I probably will have to break in a little bit just to clean my water. If you saw my water, it's like a lot of pink water right now. All right, another coat of the new leaf. And again, if you bought the kit, you should have gotten the pattern by email. If you did not get the pattern, you need to let me know so I can send it to you. Okay. All right, let that dry. And while that's drying, we're going to go to some of these other little bits. So this other piece here. So that is the center. Yeah, Dee, that's fine. And just check back. I mean, it's pretty straightforward even without the video, that you can just look back on the pattern and figure it out based on what, we've already done. So I appreciate you coming in, though. Really do. Keeping me company while I paint. All right. I dropped my heart on the ground. Let me grab that. So the frames really do come in handy to sort of hold things together. Some people use double-sided tape, or they take masking tape or painter's tape and double it up and put these pieces down so that they'll stay in place. But these pop-out frames work really well for keeping everything in place while you paint. Oh, and here's the flower. Okay, so I should have done the leaves when I was doing the carrot tops. This is new leaf as well, and so the whole stem and the leaves are new leaf, or whatever green you're using. Yeah, I know it's funny because I'm in this mountain time, so we're not quite Pacific time. They're an hour behind us, but yeah, it's weird because people on the East Coast or up in Canada, it's like, oh my goodness, I would be asleep by now. Actually, I do stay up till midnight. I'm getting so old, though, sometimes I wonder. Okay. Okay, so let us see what else we need to. So the heart is Joyful Pink base coat. I think putting the base coats down is helpful, so we'll just kind of go through these and do some base coating. So the heart is Joyful Pink base coat, and let me see, the hair flower is Berry Cobbler, and these are New Leaf again. Okay, so I'm just going to jump around a little bit while we do some base coating. These smaller pieces are such, little detail bits that it's like, trying to remember what everything is. So the centers are, looking. The center is light buttermilk. Yeah, that sounds nice, Sheila. I do spend a lot of evenings in the in my art room painting. So it's just me and my husband. We only have our one son, so Hubby is usually downstairs doing something in his office, and I'm usually up here in the art room in the evenings. So I tend to do a lot of artwork at night too. Okay, so the wings are antique white. Okay. I'm just jumping around. You can look at the pattern and jump around as you need to. So, antique white. Okay. There it is. It fell over. Oh gosh, 5:45. Oh no. I can't do those. I don't know how you do it. 5:45 in the morning. Yikes. No, I'm sound asleep. I'm lucky if I get up at 7. Oh well. Sheila, where do you live? What area do you live in? So I wasn't sure about that. So Linda, you have to get off in the morning. Oh gosh, I don't know. Okay, I'm starting to jump around so much. I'm forgetting where I am. Because we need to do the flower, this flower here, and I think it's in lavender haze. The flower is in lavender haze. Okay, that's one of the new colors. If you don't have that one, find something else that looks this color or whatever color you want to make it. Because this is one of the new deco art colors, and I know not everyone has it. I just really like it. Oh, okay. Charlotte, North Carolina area. Okay, very good. Yeah, I don't know how you do mornings and stay up late. That's, I'm definitely not much of a morning person. So, I would like to be. My husband is up at like 5:30 every morning. I don't get it. I just can't. So... Okay, so that was lavender haze. Off the top of my head, if you don't have lavender haze, trying to think what colors are close to that. I didn't think to look. You can go a pink tone. There's gentle heather. Just trying to see what is in the cooler lavender tones though. Purple petals, a little dark. Really, lavender haze is kind of distinct. But just play around if you don't have lavender haze with something. I just didn't want it to be too much pink going on. That's why I gravitated to pulling out lavender. Since her dress is so pink. Oh, 4 kids, yeah. Oh gosh. Wow, that is impressive. So cool. Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, it's and then they grow up and they leave. They flee the nest. It's always so bittersweet because you want to let them go and you need to let them go, but then you miss them. Okay, so joyful pink. I really am almost moving around too fast and not keeping up with where I am. Joyful pink on the heart. Joyful pink on the heart. And the B, let me see. The B is antique gold. The B is antique gold. So antique gold for the B. And we'll come back with black stripes, of course. And this is just base coating. You could sponge this. See, if I had sponged this, you see how the paint just goes right into the engraving lines? So sometimes, like I said, if you can sponge, it helps to maintain the scoring a little bit better. So if you weren't in earlier, one of the things that I said is the Our Country Angel. I'll be instead of teaching it live, it's going to be a recording because my son is coming in from Boston, and I wanted to spend some time with him. So he's going to be here at the time that I have scheduled the live class. So I will do a recording. Aww. Oh my goodness, that's so wonderful, Linda. My one and only is getting ready to turn 30 this year. So I only managed to pop one out. And he's the one that's coming to visit. He's going to be here for 10 days, and I'm really excited. Second coat. Everything needs a second coat. So that was antique white. Oh, here it is. These are the bee wings, if you're wondering. And the center was light buttermilk. That's the flower center. That was light buttermilk. Second coat. The leaves are new leaf. So this is the second coat. I'm going off a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I know. It is nice to have them home. So, we've lived in Colorado for about 15 years now. Can't believe it's been as long as that. So he only was here like on the summers and stuff, but still I think he would consider it home base. Okay, it looks like I need another round of new leaf here. So I did 2 coats there, but my first coat was kind of watery. So even though he didn't grow up in this house, he has his designated bedroom, and he doesn't like other people to use it when we have guests. Because when we moved to Colorado, he had already graduated from high school, and he was getting ready to go to university. So, okie dokie. I got to stop talking and make some headway here. Okay, so on the flower, we're going to shade like this base here, right there. And I'm using lavender. So whatever color you have used for your base, you just need a shading color that will complement. Since, like I said, I know that not everybody had the lavender haze. Okay. I need a little bit more. Okay. So the lavender came out a little bit separated. So let me do that again. I may have to get up and change my water. It's a bit of a mess. So this can be a little bit more of a wider shade on that piece there, just to bring in a little bit of extra color. And you can add in like lines for where you would see the division of the tulip. Like you can do a line here. Just a suggestion of a line, you know, it doesn't need to be bold or anything, just a little bit of a line. I have got to change this water. So, pardon me 1 second while I do that. All right. Okay, so the flower, so that's the flower. I did it a lot nicer. I'm rushing a little bit here, so I'm not loving that. I'm going to fix it. Okay, Dee, you take care. Thanks so much for coming in, too. I really appreciate you coming and painting with us. So I'm just fixing this. I don't like the way the shading turned out. I was just rushing it a little bit too much. Yeah, I'm used to teaching during the day. This is different for me. So most of you are working, or are daytime classes better or nighttime classes better? I'm just curious. If I do lives in the future, do you prefer them in the day or in the evening? I'm not quite as I don't know. Doing them in the evening is it's a little different. It's a little different. Okay. All right, so this flower I left out is berry cobbler. That flower is berry cobbler. So that is right here. So berry cobbler. $4 a.m. That is really early. I just realized what Dee said. She's up at 4. Holy moly. All of you early risers, I'm really impressed. Again, that was berry cobbler. Okay. And then we're going to dry brush royal fuchsia, royal fuchsia in here, just to make it a little something, to give it a little bit of dimension. I'm using so many dry brushes, and trying not to, some of them are wet, so the center is going to be covered up. So you're just adding in a little bit of extra color. And I'm going to also use, that was Royal Fuchsia. Let me see, the Joyful Pink. I just want it to be a little bit lighter than that. Okay. Yeah, that's the lighter of the two colors. It's still a little bit muted. I want it to be just a little brighter. Okay. And I'm going to take a little bit of antique gold and add it to the leaves. So whatever side you do the leaf with the antique gold, that's going to be your top line, you know, where the sun is hitting it. So when you glue everything together, keep that in mind, that the top of the leaf is going to have the brightness. So I'm just going to add in a little bit of color. So those are the top bits of the leaves. And then, okay, so nights are better. Yeah, and that's what I was concerned about. I thought that a number of people were working, and so not everybody was able to come to the classes. All right. So on this, what you can do is take a combination of some of your browns, some of the lighter colors, and a stylus. Let me grab a stylus here. And we're just going to add in some random dots. So like we used honey brown, antique white, antique gold, and we're going to use a selection of those colors and add in some dots. And before you pop this out, you want to make sure these dots are completely dry. And this, of course, is the center of the flower. So just do some random dots with some of the browns or tans, light colors. And a little bit of antique gold. And then set this aside. Do not pop it out until it is dry. Okay, so set that aside. And that piece also, the center piece, you can add in a little bit of, oh, this thing's getting stuck. So when you put it on in place, you can have a little bit of shading of like antique white at the bottom here if you want. Okay. So back to the carrot. We still have to do the hair as well, so let's do that. We're going to set some of these pieces aside. These little pieces are so, detailed, and they're so tiny. So just set those aside for just a second, and we're going to move back to doing the hair. And so we're going to use color washes again, and I'm going to get rid of this palette paper and get a new one so I don't have any accidents. All right. So for the hair, it has a color wash of, it's actually quite simple. It's just a color wash of antique white and then shading with the honey brown or the cocoa, whichever you have. So back to doing, and it's these two pieces here. And it does have a dry brush of antique white as well, if you want. Okay. So I'm just going to create a color wash again. add in a little bit more water. Okay. And get your paper towel ready. Okay. So, of course, this bit isn't going to show because the body is going to be over the top of it. Like that. And of course, you're going to be doing your two eyes. I will probably let you do the eyes on your angel and your bunny on your own. I'm sure you can. You can use a stylus to do it. You can use a permanent paint marker. So whichever method you want to do your eyes, you can do a more sophisticated. Okay, so that's first coat. And then this piece needs it as well, the top hair piece. Okay. And then shading is pretty easy on this because you're following the score lines. I know not everybody likes having score lines, but this piece, it came with it, and I just think it makes it kind of fast, easy to follow the score lines and do shading. But I know some people really don't like the score lines in these laser cut kits. But I don't mind them. I don't mind them. I really don't. All the two classes I'm teaching at Knit, I'm doing the laser pieces in. Hi, Virginia. Aw, thanks for popping in. I hope you're enjoying yourself. So, anytime you get to be with family, I'm all for that. Anyway, Virginia, before you leave, if you're still there, if you are interested, we have a prize drawing tonight. It's this roller set, this paint roller set. All you have to do is leave the comment roller and your name will be in the drawing. Okay, so make sure this is dry before you start shading. And again, we're going to do it with honey brown or cocoa. Now, if you want for interest, we can add in some dry brushing of the antique white. I'm using all my dry brushes. What do I have? Let me see if I have something that's wet that I can dry off. I don't know. Let me get a dry brush. Okay. So a little bit of antique white, and I'm going to do some dry brushing. And you don't have to do this. I just put a lot of detail into all my pieces, and especially on this top piece, you want it to be a little bit lighter since it's catching most of the light. Although this is not realistic. So it just gives it a little bit of something extra. And also while we have her here, so this piece is going to go, let me see, I got to double check how this goes. So she goes over the top like that, and then that piece goes there, like this. So I'm going to do a little bit of a float of warm white across the top. Just a very light touch of warm white. Okay, so just a little bit. So if you want a little bit of warm white through the hair, you can do that as well. Like I'm using my dirty brush that had antique white in it. So it creates its own new color. And I'm just going to bring some of that in. Here and there, just to add in a little bit of dimension. I still want a little bit more white along the top. So I'm going to drag the brush over the top a little bit. So sometimes when I'm doing shading, I use the edge of the piece to kind of bring in a little brightness. When you drag a dry brush over the top, it just kind of leaves a little bit of brightness in those edges. Okay, so now I'm going to come back with the honey brown or the cocoa, whichever one you have. Okay. I'm losing everything. It's all right in front of me, but I keep misplacing my paint. That's sable brown. Don't want that. It's warm beige. It's probably staring me right in my face, and I've lost it again. Ah, fell down. It fell down. There you go. So a little bit of honey brown and your shading brush. And so you're going to go ahead and follow these engraving lines, but you also need a little bit along the bottom here. Okay. And then just use the engraving lines, the score lines to help you. So we're going underneath them. And again, like what we did previously, if the lines are too strong for you, come back with a color wash, and I may go ahead and do that. So you come back with a color wash of, we started with the antique gold, but that will also take away some of the highlighting we did too, so you may not want to do that. You just have to see if you like it like this, or if you want to take the shading and kind of send it back a little bit. So I'm just going to clean up that shade line a little bit. All right. So easy peasy shading along the score lines. Yeah, sorry, this is, if it's going a little bit longer. Me and my details. Okay. So, like I said, if you want it, you can come back with a bit of a color wash, but it will take away from some of the brightness that we did. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to keep it out of this area up here. I'm just going to quickly go over this. And got my trusty paper towel. So it helps to blend a little bit of the shading there. And it doesn't completely take away from some of the highlights that we did. Okay, so that's pretty much that. If you want to come back with any extra dry brushing, you can do that. I just can't help myself. I keep messing around with stuff. Okay, there we go. So there are those two pieces. Those are done. Set them aside. Now we got to go back to the little pieces again to finish up our detail. Okay. Alrighty. So the bunny, golly, it's getting late. The bee. It just needs a little bit of black stripes and black on the antenna. So you need the lamp black and a round brush or a liner brush, but a round brush is probably okay. This one is actually a liner brush. So you want to dab in a little bit of, let me get in closer. Oops, went the wrong way. There we go. So you're just going to paint in the antenna area. Just like that. And then, of course, you're going to have alternate lines. So the first line next to the bee head is black. And you can take it outside of that, right into your frame. Just try to keep your lines within the lines, but you can pull that all the way out, just like that. And then the bee stinger down there. And if you feel like it's not dark enough, you want a second coat, just come back with a second coat. Okay, so I'm just checking what is next. So we have to finish up the carrots and the carrot tops. Okay. And also, since we're right here next to the heart, let me just see. The heart, joyful pink, and then we're going to shade with royal fuchsia. Wait, hold on. Berry cobbler shade. So there we go. Shading with the berry cobbler. My pup is watching me paint. He's got a little pillow area to sleep on in my art room. So he's watching me and he's wondering why I'm not paying attention to him. So, okay, so that was Joyful Pink, and I'm going to take a little bit of the Royal Fuchsia and do a light float at the top. So the Royal Fuchsia is a little bit lighter than the Joyful Pink. So these are really subtle layering, so you may or may not really see them that well. Now I'm going to take that same brush. It's got a little bit of the pink paint in it, and I'm just going to use a little bit of white. It's very, very light, so it's the warm white. Just put a little bit up there. Okay, so the bee will need some eyes on it as well. And if you want, you can add in a little coral cloud for its cheeks. So normally I would use like a dry brush to do that, but you really can't. So you can use a round brush and let me see. I do have a pretty small, like I got this little bitty dry brush. I'm going to try that. You could use like a little color wash of the coral cloud and a round brush and just dab in a little color. So I'm going to use this little dry brush here, and it's just a tiny bit of color. I mean, let's be honest, you don't have to do that, but he just needed a little bit of color. Okay, and he still needs eyes. I'll let you guys put your eyes in these pieces. Okay, so let us go back to our carrot and carrot top. Okay. So we're going to take some warm sunset and dry brush that into the tiger lily. So that's this color. It's going to lighten it up a little bit. So there you go. Okay. And get one of your dry brushes if you haven't completely run out of them yet. And again, this is warm sunset, so it's a slightly different tone than the tiger lily. So just to change up the tone a little bit. And now we're going to come back with the honey brown. And we're going to add in some shading that kind of follows the lines of the carrots. So, a little bit in there. And we're going to come back with a slightly darker color. You can bring it into the body of the carrot a little bit. So this is just to add in some extra dimension and color. And now I'm going to take a slightly darker brown. So I was using espresso. You can use asphaltum or sable brown, also works. So any of those browns will work. Let me see, I'm going to use the espresso. So espresso, asphaltum, sable brown to shade. So you want to go all the way up to the top. That is too wet. So you're going to kind of follow where the lines are and kind of bring it in a little bit more. And we're just building color, building layers. Okay, and then we're going to bring in a little bit more interest. If you get a round brush or a liner, but a round brush would probably be good. And we're going to bring in some antique gold. Okay, so you're just randomly going to come in and you're almost like somewhat dry brushing. It's kind of similar to sometimes it's a technique, you know, that Erica Joanne uses where you're not like fully engaging your brush onto the surface. You're kind of just like, that was too much, but you're kind of just lightly dragging it, and you don't want your paint to be completely wet. So it's like damp dry brushing is what she calls it. So that brings in another color tone. So that's kind of all you need to do. If you want to come back with slightly stronger lines, you can. Just randomly putting them in here and there. Just like that. Okay. I know, Robin. I'm like, I can't believe it. I do so much detail. Apologies to all of you, but I do a lot of detail work, and it takes a little bit longer sometimes. So, I know. Oh, gosh. Okay, so carrot tops. Oh, I didn't pull this color, but I used lush green on that. Let me see. Lush green. Well, let me see. Okay, there it is. So I used lush green on the carrot tops. And it's kind of the same thing that we just did. You know, use your round brush, kind of wipe off some of it, and kind of pull up in the direction that you would have these bunches of greens going in that direction. So just kind of pull it up. Just like this. And then a little bit of honey brown. Oh, I'm glad you like that, Robin. I hope everybody else is enjoying all the detail work. So that's why when I do this other video, I'm going to be doing it as a recorded piece. That it, in some ways, when you do a recorded session, it makes it easier to go back and watch everything. So, so I'm kind of using my dirty brush. This is antique gold now. Oops, there it is, antique gold. So I'm not actually washing my brush out in between these strokes. So you're just building the color. And now I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to take the Warm Sunset. I'm going to do the same. It's still a dirty brush. I'm going to add in just a little bit of orange, the Warm Sunset. So every time I do this stuff, it's a little different. It's never the same. And then I need a little bit of antique white. Yeah, I know. I agree, Linda. At some point, I'm going to have to stop tonight, though, because I'm definitely taking you guys down a rabbit hole. A rabbit hole. Oh, God, I'm getting silly now. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So it doesn't look exactly like the one I did previously, but that's okay. I do feel like I still need a little bit of brightness. I'm going to add in a little bit more antique white. Just needed a little bit more of that brightness. So, and when you pop this out, if you want to add in a little, drag a little bit of white across the top, Let me see, where's my, trying to find my dry brush I was using a little while ago. So if you take a little bit of warm white or a little bit of antique white, and again, you drag it across the top, it makes for an interesting look. So you're utilizing the edge of your laser cut piece. And then you can dry brush, take that same dry brush. Oops, that's a little strong. But you're just trying to add in a little bit of lightness on one side of the carrot. I didn't mean to do it quite as strong as that. And the same with this tulip piece. We need to add in some dimension. Yeah, well, he won't be here until Thursday. I'm going to try to do the recording. I've already got it recorded. I just have to edit it. So I want to do the recording. But I think you guys will be fine if the recording isn't out exactly on the 21st or whatever. I'll let you guys know. Okay, so then I'm going to do a little bit of shading again with the antique gold. So that's a little heavy. So right there, underneath the flower. And then come back and add in your brown veins. It's getting late. I can't even remember what words are called. Veins. Leaf veins. Okay. So just a touch here and there. Okay. So I didn't do this the last time, but I'm going to add in a little bit of brown. I change things as I go every time. So, okay, so those are those pieces. Now, you'll notice in your pattern that after you put everything together, now the other thing I do is I tend to spray seal everything before I glue everything together. But certainly, you can spray seal or varnish. It's just easier to do it before you glue everything together. And I wanted to show you one of the reasons too. Like, you're going to be putting the bow on the bunny before you glue him on. So it helps if everything is either spray varnished. I use Spectra Fix, Final Fix, and I use this product for varnishing. Hold on. Oh. So I use these Spectra Fix products, and they're non-toxic. You can use them inside. They don't have fumes. So I spray with Final Fix, and then I use the natural glass spray varnish. But you do all the individual pieces and then glue everything together. And don't forget to do your sides and do your backs. And the bow goes on him before you put him together. So I'll tend to glue all the little bits together first. The bee to the bee wings, the nose onto the muzzle onto the rabbit, the bow onto the rabbit. And then once all these individual little pieces are done, then I glue them on, bit by bit. So that's the way you do the gluing, because I'm not going to demonstrate the gluing tonight. But you saw I had those little accent dots. So anyway. So these pieces are kind of done. You can make this a little bit brighter if you want, but you can see how these pieces come together. So the piece that we worked on earlier, the leaves, the flower, the heart has dots on it, but I usually don't do the accent dots until I put the piece together. You can use a pin and do these black stitch marks. And we had a chat, or I showed you this pen here is one of the ones that's a permanent marker. That's because, you know, if you're using an acrylic paint pen, because it's acrylic, it's not going to bleed. But when you're trying to find markers that are a little bit more fine point, like this one, this Shuttle Art permanent marker from Amazon is really, 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 really cheap. And it does not bleed. I spray it with Final Fix, and then you can varnish on top of it. It doesn't bleed, so you can use it on your stitch marks. Okay, so let me think what we're forgetting. Of course, we haven't done any of the eyes, but let's see what she's looking like. Now that it's about, 4 in the morning or whatever it is. It's 4 in the morning somewhere. Okay. Let me see where we are on this piece. This is always fun when you start putting these pieces together. Oh, okay, so I didn't do everything. This is one of the things I didn't finish. So the bee wings, you would do a color wash of light buttermilk on top of that. So that's one thing we haven't done. But let's just see where we are. Because I think we're I can't believe it. We're almost finished. Oh my goodness. I figured that she would take 3 hours. So, but you may not have realized she was going to take 3 hours. You're like, what are you doing to us, Kathy? I was expecting 3 hours, but I was kind of, initially I had it planned for the daytime, and I would start, if you started at noon, you'd be finished around 3. Okay, so this is what she looks like. I've got so much stuff here. Okay, move that back a little bit. And the eyelet stuff. Oh, there it is. So, I think I like the cocoa better than the honey brown, but I couldn't find it, so. And then this goes behind her. And her collar and the headpiece and the flower in her hair, the little centerpiece. I'm not going to pop these out because I'm going to lose them, but the leaves, go up next to the flower. If I pop them out, I will lose them. And then the bee can go here. And everything needs eyes. And again, we need to do a color wash of light buttermilk there. But you've seen enough color washes for today. You know how they work. I don't really need to show you again. And the carrot goes over here. That goes there. There's the, muzzle, if I put it the right way. You could do a little bit more float here. Oh, I guess I am a quasi-fast painter. I never really think about it, but I guess I am. Because I'm able to keep up with almost every teacher when I take a class. So, his nose. Oh, there it is. So you got to keep track of all these little pieces. So the nose goes slightly above the muzzle. It fits. It doesn't go flush on the muzzle. I mean, you can. And so eyes. I think that's mostly it. Except for the color wash on the little wings And then you're going to come back with the accents after everything's glued together. So spray everything. I think we finished. And you can see I did this beaded hanger thing here. So however you want to do it. Oh my goodness, I think that's it. So just refer back to the pattern to see where I put accents, and you can add in things. You can change things up. Okay. Oh my goodness, there we go. I'm here. I'm here. Oops, no, I'm not there. There I am. All right. Yeah, it really is. I did finish, Robin. I can't believe it. I finished. Holy moly. Well, thank you all for all of you who stayed the whole time. You guys deserve some special award, I think. So, and speaking of which, I will do a little random drawing of the names for the roller. It's a fantastic little gift. I use it all the time. So, well, thank you, Robin. Thank you very much, everybody. So, I appreciate you guys coming to watch, and I'm going to probably leave you and love you now. So thank you guys so very much. I'm going to go get something to drink. I'm really dry. But it was fun. Love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging around, and we'll catch you the next time. I'll let you know about when I'll release that recorded video for the Our Country Angel, and I appreciate you understanding with my son coming in that it isn't going to be a live video, but we'll see you the next time. Love you guys. Night. Good night.